Well, good morning, and what a beautiful morning it is. So, what is the most essential country sound? Some of you might argue that it's the sound of a diesel engine, that low rumble, that I do a terrible diesel. I'm sorry about that. Some of you might say it's the sound of the action opening on a shotgun. That and you hear the spent round go flying amongst the leaves. Some of you with softer hearts might say it's the sound of the peepers and the crickets, or the light pitter-patter of raindrops on a tin roof with an open window basking you in a cool breeze. Those are all good answers, but I'd argue that it's the sound of the banjo. And that's a sound I grew up with. You'd hear it at country fairs, you'd hear it at church sometimes, and it would always sit in the background. It never had a place of prominence. It was a supporting role instrument. It sat back there and it did its job. It supported the acoustic guitar, which was in your face, or the bass and the drums. Everything was out there, but the lowly banjo held back. And it's a sound that I think is the most essential. So we've learned to play the banjo, but I don't actually have a banjo, nor have I ever played one.
Welcome to my YouTube channel.
You've learned banjo, but you don't have a banjo? How does that work?
So in learning banjo, I don't actually own one. I'm a firm believer that you need about 80% of knowledge to become competent in a skill. I don't have the knowledge of how to play it, but I am competent in understanding its approach and how to use it. And with advents of keyboards and things like that, I don't actually have to own a banjo to be able to produce with a banjo. But if I sit down and just produce with a banjo with no knowledge of it, it's not going to sound like a banjo. So that's where we started. We started with how is banjo fundamentals happening? And the quick and easy way to explain it is, let's go over to the
Faduki.
Let's kind of show you some of this stuff. With the strumming that you saw there, I started with a finger picking style where you roll your fingers and each one's kind of assigned to a string. So you get your melody from plucking individual strings in a certain order. The other style is a claw hammer, where you kind of make like the sign language letter E and stick your thumb out and you strum with your nails, pluck, strum back up, strum, pluck, strum. And it's two different approaches. Occasionally you use kind of your first finger to do that, but the strumming really makes a difference between songs. Actually, there's a really good example. Shorten and Bread with Earl Scruggs and Clifton Hicks. They both do a version of it. And I want to say Earl does the finger picking style really well, rolls. And Clifton Hicks he does a traditional style of banjo or claw hammer. Let me throw that in so you can see a difference in one song. Yeah, you can really hear a difference between the two. In Earl's version, it's really full. Every aspect of space is filled up, and I like to think of that as like a sandwich. Like you have all your layers, they're even, they're ready to approach. It's a nice, good-looking sandwich, and it's kind of mellow. It fills the space and makes it really enjoyable to listen. Where listening to Clifton's version, there's a lot of empty space. So as he's strumming, if we start applying this to other genres of music, like hip-hop, which is where I want to go with this, he strums and you have space to throw in an 808 hit. He strums and you have space to throw a snare or maybe a hi-hat roll. You have options for other instruments to really play along with it. So rather than having a sandwich, you have more of like a chunky meat pie or a slice of pizza where there's little bits of everything that all work together. food analogies are great. But I want to do a proof of concept, and that's where we're getting to. In the long term, I've got some plans coming.
But I need a proof of concept.
So we're gonna take NWA. We're gonna take NWA and we're gonna banjify it. I'm gonna type it up real quick, and we're gonna dive in and give it a listen to see, does the rolling and does the claw hammer style work with hip hop? If we take just a simple beat, I'm thinking Boys in the Hood. We take Boys in the Hood and just add in the rolls underneath and add in a claw hammer style. Is it going to work? What's actually going to happen? All right, so we have everything laid out right now, and we're going to try some stuff. So the rolling part, we just have a C chord kind of going up and down, just an arpeggiated C chord. I think that's what music people call it. And then for the claw hammer, we have that strum, and then finger down, finger out, strum. Finger down, finger up. More or less. So I think that'll work for the claw hammer. Let's give a listen to how it actually is supposed to sound, more or less. Classic, beautiful and simple. Let's throw a little banjo. All right, no stopping now. Let's try the rolls. So on the rolls, right off the bat, what I pick up is it already sounds different. Like it already loses some of the integrity of the original song. I'm going to try out the claw hammer here. The claw hammer is the same thing. It loses the integrity of the original song, but I get like a country and western feel. I get a vibe that is not the original sound of it. I don't get this anymore. I get sitting on the side of the riverbank with a fishing pole. Let's try everything up. Okay. I like that. I lose the song completely there. I can barely pick up on this bit. Yeah. I like that a lot. I mean, started here, and then we're throwing in everything else. I think that'll work. Well, as a proof of concept, it worked. It left some to be desired, and I'll be the first to admit that. This was a real quick little rundown, and NWA, Dr. Dre, Eazy-e. I'm sorry for what I did to your song. It's my fault. I needed to see if this would work. My vision where I want to go is do an entire album. 10 songs, 15 songs, a million songs, 20 billion songs, whatever it turns out to be. I want to do an entire album where every single beat is banjo. Banjo's been in the background. I want to make it in the foreground. And I've been doing hip-hop lately, so can I take rap and banjo and put them together? I think so. I think proof's in the pudding, or pudding's in the proof. Bread pudding? Something's in the proof. The proof is in the pudding. And that's what we're going to do. It needs a little practice, though. And I find the best way to practice is to copy or draw inspiration from. I copied. I don't know if this is the best approach, but I think drawing inspiration from is going to be really good. Where do we draw inspiration? I'm going to go with MGK.
I'm gonna go with MGK.
We're gonna mess up some MGK. It's gonna be good. Bye.